Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're unboxing the Apple Watch Series 5. Okay, so obviously I have the Series 4 right here, and this was the stainless steel gold model. I went with aluminum space gray this year. So I went back, and this is my fourth Apple Watch. I had the original that was aluminum space gray. They called it the Sport back then. And then my second one was space black. Which was stainless steel. That was the Series 2. Then I got Series 4, which was stainless steel gold. That was a new color and everything. And this year I kind of decided that stainless steel wasn't really worth it. So I sold this one on eBay. It's shipping out tomorrow or whatever. And then I bought this. And it's, the big feature is that it has an always on display. And here's the thing, right? I predicted this last year, which is why I just had to buy it. If you go to my Apple Watch Series 4 review, there's a whole section in there called An Ambient Future, which describes how after 5 generations of not having an ambient display and always on display, it was going to, and now it does, so I kind of had to buy it, my theory behind it, which I don't know if the theory really worked out, because I think this actually uses the same processor as this, but my theory was that Qualcomm with the Snapdragon Wear 3100, they made some different power management decisions. And there's a big, small, tiny architecture, which kind of takes big, little in phones and brings it down to smartwatches. Where you have these big cores for heavy tasks and then smaller cores for, background notification syncing and always on display, and it doesn't suck down the battery life. And so they added a color to the ambient display, a secondhand. So I'm like, all right, Apple's got to do this now. They made some architectural changes to make it happen. And I said, it's going to happen on an Apple Watch soon. So it happened. We have an always on display, and that's cool. And that is really what's new here. There's the display can adjust itself between 60 hertz and 1 hertz. So that's a big difference in power and how it's managed with the display controller and all that. Other than that, it should be a pretty similar device to the Series 4. And let's just get this open with Apple's magnificent packaging here. And I did get cellular again, by the way. Cellular is kind of a ripoff if you don't use it much. Because here's the thing, right? I use T-Mobile and I use Google Fi. Google Fi does not support Apple Watch. And unlike anything else, like a smartphone, you could just pop the SIM out and put a Google Fi SIM in there and it works. There's no SIM card in this. So it needs to be activated by a supported carrier. And that's kind of the problem there. So I have to use it on T-Mobile. T-Mobile charges $10 a month for an Apple Watch. That's not great. It's not great at all. I might use it at the gym to listen to music once in a while. There might be some months where I don't use it at all and I'm just paying $10 for nothing. And as much as I use, even in the best months, it's not really $10 worth of data usage. So just be aware of how much you're going to use it. You might want to get the cellular version anyway, which I believe is $130 more or $100 more. You might want to get it anyway, just in case you want cellular connectivity. And I compare it to Google Fi because Google Fi doesn't charge for data SIMs. I have many Google Fi SIM cards, data SIM cards. I can throw them in an iPad or a laptop or something, and it's great. But unfortunately, you can't. If Google Fi supported this, I would just be paying for the data I use. So if I don't use it for a month, I don't pay for it for a month, which is kind of how it should be. And it's a real shame that the best you're going to do is $10 a month on this thing. So just be aware of that if you go for the cellular model. You might be better off just getting the Wi-Fi only model if that's what you want to do. You can still stream music you can't stream music on the Wi-Fi model. What you can do is you can download music and store it on the watch. So we have this interesting packaging that we had last year where these sides just kind of flip open. Rather than a box where you just lift off the top. So it is what it is. Same thing last year. Here's the sport band. I got a space black stainless steel pin. And then it should be just a black sport band it's called or something like that. Not entirely sure. Oh, there we go. There's a little Apple. Oh, you don't have to rip packaging on Apple products. There's always something. There's always a tab you can pull that'll just let you open it as long as I can get this open. And here we have our band. I always recommend. See, there's two sizes here. If you have a smaller or a large wrist. And I recommend buying it with the sport band. And I'll tell you why. One, you need a sport band. There's going to be something that you do in life where you won't be happy with something else. There's, like I used to love the Milanese loop band, which isn't as popular anymore, but Apple goes for different styles and bands. That's fine. But what that was, it was just It was a strap that went around your wrist, and there was just a magnet that attached. And it was a strong magnet. It was good. But then I went to the batting cages one day, and you swing a bat, and it gets a little loose. Swing the bat again, it gets a little looser. And you're like, wait, is my $500 watch going to fall off me and break? So the sport band is good for sports. Like if you do anything active ever, you're going to want that sport band. It's also the cheapest. And Apple's markups on bands are pricey. It's even if you get the stainless steel band or whatever, get a sport band too. But that stainless steel. The Milanese loop was like $150 for the band. Is this upside down? Might be upside down. All right. Yeah, it was upside down. Okay. All right. There's a picture of the watch. But yeah, the sport bands are $50, so this is what it is. We got a 5-watt charger here, which is fine for an Apple Watch. Really, this thing charges pretty quick. This shipped with the iPhone forever, and I think it still ships with the 11. Not the 11 Pro, which has an 18-watt charger now. But remember, iPhones used to charge so slowly. I haven't used a regular 5-watt charger in so long because they did support fast charging with the iPhone 8, and then you could buy a fast charger. So, and then here's our charger. It's standard wireless charging disc that always comes with Apple Watches. And then we have our watch, which comes in this lovely little protective sleeve here. I love it. It's so nice. So we just slide this out of here. And this is the Apple Watch Series 5. And if you look, other than the casing, which I just chose a different one this time, they look exactly alike. They even have the same ring on the side remember the Series 3 was the first one to support cellular, and it had that big red dot on the crown, and now it just has a ring, which they started doing last year. So I'm just going to take this. So this is the Misfit Vapor X, and I've been using it with an iPhone, and I've been pretty disappointed with it, to be honest. I love the design of it. It's just the battery life has been so inconsistent. I just had to check which band I was using on that one. It is the bigger one. All right. And this is the 44 millimeter. I don't think I said that. I got the 44 millimeter, space gray, like I said that. But, I like the bigger one. There's a 40 millimeter as well. All right. And this is just booting up because I accidentally pressed the button. And we'll take a closer look and we'll set this up. Okay, so here you have it. That's the Apple Watch Series 5. I just paired it with, I'm pairing it with an iPhone 11 Pro, which I also just set up. And it's pretty simple. You just turn it on and it's going to say, bring your iPhone near to the Apple Watch. And then you get a little message right here that'll say, pair your phone to your watch. And you just click connect and it just, then you got to scan the code on the watch with the iPhone camera. So I'm restoring from an iCloud backup. This may take a moment. All right, so it's syncing. I was restoring from an iCloud backup. Obviously, there's other things you got to do. You got to set up a PIN, set up Apple Pay, enter the codes from your credit cards, and all that good stuff. And a couple optional settings that don't come with the iCloud backup for whatever reason. We can look at some Apple Watch basics: the digital crown, the side button, and the display. Like we can see if you tap to select, swipe to scroll and move. Obviously there's a lot of people might be getting an Apple Watch for the first time. Apparently 70% of Apple Watch purchasers are getting it for the first time. So you might want to play with this when you're setting up your Apple Watch. So you could press this button. That's like your home button. And then, you could turn it to scroll, which I'm sure it's going to press and hold to talk to Siri, right? I never use that feature, but it's there. And then, yeah, you could turn to scroll and zoom and adjust and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's go back. And then we got the side button. That's press to show the dock. It's also, double click for Apple Pay. And you can press and hold it for medical ID, emergency SOS, and power, which, obviously you're mostly going to be using that for power. Okay, and this should be almost done. Well, no, it's not almost done. Oh, no, it is. It's about 75% done. It should be booting up any moment. While that's still setting up, we take a look. You can see we have our heart rate sensor on the bottom. You can see it's a little bit different than the one on the stainless steel model, but that's okay. Switching out the bands is really easy. You have this little button here, and that little button just kind of, you press it and it slides out. So kind of stick it in there and just slides out like that, and then you can just snap it into place, and there you go. That's how you swap out the band. It's really easy, and there are many bands. Like I was saying, that Apple's markup on bands is pretty high. So what you can do is you can actually press the digital crown to start. You can actually go on Amazon and get a whole bunch of third-party bands, but make sure you get a good one that's not going to fall apart. All right, and here we go. We're in. We have these new watch faces that came out last year, which fire and water, which is awesome. Let's just see what happens when the display goes out, because the ambient display is the story here. That's what's super cool. And so other than that, like I said, the watch is pretty much the same. It's like the design is exactly the same, but this is list view. Obviously, the cluster of apps, you can have that too if you want a huge mess of apps like that, but I like to go straight to list. The only thing is you can't uninstall apps this way, where you can on list view, which is the same way it works on an iPhone. But it has its own app store now. That's part of watchOS 6. That's huge. So if you have the cellular version, you can easily just download apps on the go. A couple other things. The Noise app is new, and that's go to a racetrack or something, and that'll tell you how loud something is and it'll tell you if it's too loud, if long-term exposures are gonna give you a problem. Okay, so it is kind of hard to show the always-on display, because really the only way to get the display to turn off is to just turn it on its side, and you see it does turn off, but which is weird because the always-on display setting is on, so I'm not sure, but I did get it to work for a moment there. Okay, I've got the solution. It has to be unlocked. That's what you need to do. And the only way to keep it unlocked is to wear it. So that's why if the watch is not unlocked, it's just not going to show you the always-on display. And then of course we can tap it, wake it up, and then we can check out other always-on displays, and we'll just have to turn it this way to get it to go off, but it's not doing that. And this is kind of a hard thing to show on video, and it's my first time trying, really. So this one is actually kind of similar to what it looks like without when it's on. So you can see that it's actually quite nice as far as always-on displays go. There's no second hand there. There's a little bit of color, that red dot at the top, which is cool, but there's the full watch face, so it's dimmed down. It's not really scaled back much though, which is cool. All right, I'm done trying to video that. That was a mess. It's just impossible to film that the always on display, and that is the key feature of this watch. Unless you really care about an always on display, that's there's no reason to upgrade from the Series 4. And the thing about an always on display is that you can see, like, I have an Android watch here. It's got an always on display. Almost every smartwatch I've ever reviewed has an always on display. Android Wear watches, since the very first generation, has had that feature. So this is a big deal for Apple. This is it's almost what needs to happen on a smartwatch. I gotta say though, Apple's watches are very good at telling you the time when you raise your wrists. I've used other watches that don't wake up right away. It gets to be kind of a pain, and so it's nice that it works well. But that always on display, like finally, it's a key feature. And if there was one feature that was gonna happen in the Series 5, that should be it. There's a couple other things. So some people thought sleep tracking would be in, but that didn't happen. Maybe next year. But apparently 18 hours of battery life. And a lot of people are complaining about battery life and whatever. And look, I'm going to tell you right now my thoughts on battery life. Because I'm pretty sure that Apple has always promised around 18 hours, right? And I've never had any problems with an Apple Watch. One, Apple Watch is consistent in terms of battery life. And, I think most people aren't really using apps on this. What you're using is, say, you're getting notifications. A couple apps you might use, Maps. Maps is great on an Apple Watch because you just look down and you can see where you have to go. And I hope it shows up on the always-on display. It'll be sweet. But it's great. And so you're not really using a lot of notifications or a lot of apps or anything. And getting through the day is never a problem for me. I've never had that problem with an Apple Watch. Ever. And other smartwatches I use, I do. Huawei's Watch GT lasts forever. That's another story. But Android watches, like this thing, I've been using it for a week or two, and twice it's just died on me in the middle of the day. And like the always on display still works, so like I'm looking, I'm like, why is this working? And then I press the button to wake it up and it doesn't wake up, and I'm like, oh. And then you hold in the button, you can't do anything. It just has that little charge me icon. And so, there's nothing you could do there. So, I'm not too concerned with 18 hours of battery life. I'm happy charging it overnight. I'm not using it for sleep tracking, which if they do add sleep tracking, that's going to just add another dimension to that, because it's really how, when do you want to charge your watch? If you want to charge it while you sleep, you can't do sleep tracking. But sleep tracking is useless in most cases anyway. Sleep tracking is one of those things that, like, okay, I can see how much I slept last night. Okay. I say in most cases because some companies like Huawei actually will give you insights on what you can, like, it sees how you slept and say, like, okay, you didn't get enough, you got too much light sleep, not enough deep sleep, so here's what you can do to fix that. You didn't get enough sleep at all, here's what you do to fix that. That type of thing, and there's actual insights behind it. As far as this goes, Apple Watch is a great watch, and Apple Watch is the best smartwatch on the market. Adding that always on display is kind of solving that one pain point. Another pain point that people will point out, and I don't necessarily agree with, is that it's rectangular rather than round, which all Android watches are round. And yes, round is prettier, but rectangular is still the best way to display information. A lot of these round watches seem like square pegs and round holes, really. And so I get why Apple hasn't switched. Although I do think that fashion is more important than performance, but hey, whatever. So yeah, that's the Apple Watch Series 5. I'm going to have a review on this. I'm going to say 3 weeks. I got a lot of reviews to do, but it shouldn't take me too long to review this because really, it's this watch that I've been wearing for the past year, but with an always-on display. So that kind of sums it up. And, the fact that there aren't a lot of new features shouldn't really turn you off because it was great to begin with. And I say great when compared with the rest of the market because the rest of the market sucks. And you can use an Android watch with an iPhone if you want to, but I don't think you'd want to. Like actually using it isn't that bad, but just the OS is not nearly as mature as watchOS. watchOS is so good, and the hardware here is so good. So that's that. Anyway, guys, I'll have a review in a few weeks. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.